Okay, this is my Jazzmaster. I've got a few videos on YouTube about this guitar. I was playing it one day, or for a while, I guess, and I realized that the pickups just sounded anemic. Like I wasn't getting any sustain out of it at all. It just didn't feel right. It made me not want to play it. And then I looked down, and the pickups were like really far down. And I can't really demonstrate it here because they're actually higher than they were at that point. But essentially, you know, these screws, they determine the height of the pickup, but what pushes them up from the bottom is foam underneath. So if that foam is not tall enough or it's compressed, then it's not going to push those pickups up or keep them at the right height. And what will happen is something like this. Look at this screw over here. So I push that down, see? That's all I gotta do is just push it barely. So when I'm playing, if I'm like doing any kind of palm muting or picking, or if I'm strumming and this finger right here, you know, just happens to catch it, then after a while it starts to look like that, right? And then I can like pick it up, but that's not good. I mean, look at the play in this pickup. So, you know, pickup height is very important and has a very distinct, you know, effect on the tone of your guitar, right? And there's a reason why, you know, they say have it a little lower on the bass, a little higher on the treble side. It has to do with the vibration of the strings and the mass and how much the magnet has a pull on them. So what I'm gonna do is, and the funny thing about this, you know, I'm reluctant to take pickguards off and mess around because most of my Fender style guitars I've got shielded and it might not be the most professional job. It works, but you know, I want to maintain connection between the pickguard and the cavities, right? There has to be like a Faraday cage. So I've been reluctant to do it, and then I had this like aha moment, or more like a duh moment, and I realized that you can just take the pickups out of these types of guitars. But yeah, so on a Telecaster or a Strat, you know, you have to take the pickup off, or the bridge plate for the Telecaster or whatever, to take the pickup out. But this, all you gotta do is loosen these screws and then pop them out, and then it exposes the pickup cavity. So what I'm gonna do is, hopefully I want to take the strings off. I may have to do that, it's not a big deal, but I'll probably reuse these strings. I'm gonna take it off and I'm gonna show you what it looks like in there. So maybe if you're the type of person that doesn't want to, you know, mess around too much with your guitar, you're reluctant to do it, you don't want to screw things up, maybe you're not really a DIYer, I just want to show you what's in there so that maybe it'll give you some confidence to go do it yourself if you're having this issue. And I will say too that one of the reasons I need to have my pickups up so high, or high enough, I put a shim in the neck, okay? I got it from Stuart McDonald. And I'll try to put up a video sometime about what that looks like and how I did it. But I put the shim in there, so what it does, I'll use this ruler as sort of a demonstration. You put a shim in the bottom of the neck pocket, then the neck's gonna go like that, right? That's extreme, but so it's gonna get higher off higher and higher as you go down towards the bridge. So when you do something like that, the bridge has gotta come up a little higher, and then your pickups have to come up respectively. So, you know, because my pickups need to come up, I need to have something under there, some good foam to keep them up there like that. This is a Squier Jazzmaster, the vintage modified Jazzmaster. It obviously has a different pickguard and a different neck on it, but you know, from the factory, the way it was set up, I think it was okay. And I'm not saying that it's bad, the foam that they have in here, but for this situation, if you need to modify it, it's not the greatest. You may need to go in here and add some foam. So I'm gonna plan on going to the store and buying some. I'll show you what I get, and I'll show you what's inside the pickup cavities, and we'll try to remedy this. I wanted to say too that I searched and searched and searched for a good recommendation about pickup height for Jazzmasters. Fender is really forthcoming with their recommendations for Strats and Tellies, you know, based on the type of pickup you have for those guitars, whether they're vintage or they're hot, Tex-Mex, that kind of thing. Say hello to my dog. Okay, so whether they're hot or vintage, whatever, you know, Fender will tell you what they recommend for height for Telecasters and Strats. Not so much for any other guitar that they sell. I don't know why that is, but I finally found something where someone emailed Fender and asked, and the response they got was 8/64 on the bass side and 6/64 on the treble side. So right now I've got mine a little lower than that, just because I always feel like lower is better. It just gives more freedom for the strings to move, less pull, but you know, it's always tweakable. So I wanted to share that information I got. Again, Fender says, from what this person said, that they said 8 64ths on the bass, 6 64ths on the treble. Now, if you're the type of person that just does it by ear, that's great and that's awesome. This is the first Jazzmaster I've owned, and I don't really know what I like necessarily. I don't know what it's supposed to sound like. I want a bass line, right? So then I can tweak from there. And I really wish Fender would, you know, say something about their Jazzmasters, about what they recommend. And I know there's different types of pickups for Jazzmasters as well. So, you know, just freedom of information. Let us know what you think, Fender. Please feel free to comment below if you have a recommendation for Jazzmaster pickup height, or if you know of someone who maybe makes pickups, or you know someone that has word from Fender about what they recommend. If you're just a guru about Jazzmaster pickup height, please share your information. By all means, I would love to hear it and get some input. Just so you know, you don't have to take your strings off if you do something like this. You can just spread them apart, split them at the middle, and do 3 and 3 on the side. It's always difficult to put on strings, again, when you take them off, to reuse them. I just put these on, so I'm not going to throw them away. I know some people are just like, well, I'll just get some new strings. But anyway, the whole point is you don't necessarily have to take them all the way off to do this. Okay, here's what's under the hood. I took the pickups up and out of the guitar body and just set them there on the pick guard. So there's little bits and chunks of things in there, but I think they're just, you know, shavings of wood, which doesn't really matter that much. If it were metal pieces, it might be more of a problem with the magnets and everything. But the most interesting thing to me are these springs down inside of the foam, right? So they provide some spring, and then the foam provides some more spring, I guess. And then this piece in here, I suppose, is to protect more or less, or cover, you know, these grounding lugs in here. I'm not exactly positive what the purpose of those is there in the middle. So I will convey to you that the thickness of this foam, if I can show you, is 1/2 inch, right? And I looked on the web, and it looks like most of the foam that they sell for Fender Jazzmaster pickups is 1/2 inch. Now the foam doesn't look that compressed. To me, it doesn't look like it's in bad shape. So it looks like I just maybe have a unique situation, and that I'm going to have to figure out a method to make the pickups a little taller. So what I think I'm going to do is just get some foam and add it to the bottom. I don't really know what else I can do. Now, that being said, I can try to like make holes for the springs, but if they're up off the body, they're not touching anything, they're not doing any good. So, you know, I'm kind of like, I don't know what to do with the springs in there. I think I may just get, you know, a big rectangle and stick it in there and hope it works. I think just some more resistance of some sort will prop the pickups up enough to, even if maybe I hit them with my fingers or push them down a little bit, they'll pop back up. So that's the plan. I'm gonna go to the hardware store and see what I can find and see how it works out. Okay, this is the stuff I got. I got it from Ace Hardware just because it was convenient. It doesn't say anywhere that I can see what kind of material it is other than PVC sponge. Now, I saw a guy on YouTube say he used neoprene, so maybe that's what this is. Okay, so taking it out of the packaging, maybe you can get an idea of how spongy it is. And you know, it's not going to be easy to translate on video, but it feels pretty much the same as this stuff. Very similar. Now, I did get the 1/4 inch because this stuff is already a 1/2 inch, and I didn't need to double that space under there. I just needed a little bit of space to go underneath all that other stuff to get the height that I need. So I'm going to use this and cut it into strips. I've got a little mark there to start. So I'm going to do 2 strips and just pretty much go underneath. I'm going to try to basically cover the whole existing foam that's there. And there is adhesive on the back of this. I think I'm going to put the adhesive on the existing foam rather than the body, because I don't want to risk pulling up any of this shielding paint. I don't want the adhesive to stick to that, and then someday when I pull it off, it pulls that off and, you know, reduces the efficiency of the shielding. So let me cut this up and we'll see how it goes on there. Okay, I measured this length here and it's about 2 3/4 inches. So I just cut a couple of strips, as you can see, and I'm going to just take the adhesive off the back and see how well this goes on here. It might help if I put the adhesive side onto the foam, like I said I was going to. So there's that one. There's that one. All right, so I've got the foam on there. I'm gonna put them down into the body and see kind of what we're working with. All right, looks like that's gonna work pretty well. All right, now I'm gonna put the screws in and then we'll string it back up and really see what we're working with. There's the neck pickup. Okay, so the pickups are in and feel firm. They're not going to go anywhere. So I'll string it up and set the height, and then I think we should be good to go. If I run into anything else, I will show it to you. All right, I'm all strung up and tuned to pitch, and you can see that these are pushed down on the pickups. They're returning to the height that they're set at. Just do this side as well. Get a little lower here so hopefully you can see. The bridge side on the treble, or the bridge pickup on the treble side, is still a little too springy. I mean, it's fine. I'd like to set it a little bit higher, like just a 64th, well, not even that. I like to set it a little tiny bit higher, but I've basically got it to where as high as it's gonna go. I don't know why this needs to, it seems like it needs to be so high, but anyway, I'm pretty pleased with the results of my purchase. Again, this is what I got. So you'll know that if this is something that you want to try, maybe it'll work for you, maybe you want something different, maybe you can find something different, but that's my experience and I just wanted to share it with you. Hopefully it helps you out. I wanted to tell you again what height I had these pickups at. What I'm doing is measuring from press the string down on the last fret on the low E string and the high E string, and measure from the top of the pole to the bottom of the string. So on the bass side here, I'm about 9/64, and on the treble side, I'm about 7/64. So those are my measurements, and it seems to be working. If it doesn't work out that way, then it's obviously easily adjustable, but that's kind of what I'm going with. And maybe someday if I change it or if I find it's not working, I'll make a video to explain what's working better. But for now, that's what I got it set at.
I don't have it figured out, but I take